Hey everybody, and welcome back to another art journaling video. I wanted to use some bright colors for the background today, and I picked a yellow, an orange, and a neon pink from Schmincke. These are acrylic paints. You can pick whatever paint you have to recreate something similar. And I'm working in my Dina Wakley Media Journal. The reason is that this is almost filled, and I have this for years. In the beginning, I really liked that journal, but then towards the end, the spine broke completely. It's just the binding is just not, the cover and the spine does not hold those many papers, so there's just it's just too weak, so it breaks, and that annoys me a bit, and then I stopped using it. But I thought maybe I would just finish it, and that's the reason why I'm making a video in this journal today. And then I can put it away and call it done. And I also don't like the craft paper pages inside. They are so stiff, and yeah, I don't like to paint on them. I'm mixing in to the neon pink some Indian yellow, and I will not use the orange I've picked out because that already gave me a really bright and nice orangish color. It's very intense, and I have some paint left over, and I'm smearing it just on another page that I didn't like, that wasn't finished. It was just the background, and I'm laying a piece of pencil inside so the page doesn't close completely and does not stick, so that can dry. I'm just making some quick bigger marks on that background. I wanted to work quickly. I wanted to just slap down some color, and that's what I did. And that's everything I'm going to do to the background. I'm also not a big fan of that paper because you have really use some kind of primer to work with it. You can use gesso, but I think you can't use watercolor. So because watercolor sinks into it immediately, and you can't work with it, and that's just a bit of not funny. I let that paint dry before I'm going in with the stencil. The paint is not 100% dry, but really dry enough to touch it. And I'm just adding that pattern with white acrylic paint, and that connects the white paper background with the color, and that brings everything together as one piece of, one background, I would say. And I'm being really careful that I don't use too much paint on my sponge because I don't want the paint to run under the stencil. I thought about using the other stencil as well, but I think it would be too much. So I'm staying with this stencil. It's the Marks II stencil from our shop, and as always, I will link all the products in the video description. You will also find a link to the blog post where you can have a look at the close-up images. I need to let that dry, but I thought I was 100% sure that I'm going to add some white splatters towards the end. So I thought I could do this now, so this can dry all in one. And I'm using some white acrylic ink, and I'm going to make some splatters on the page. Whilst the page was drying, I was going through my jelly prints, through my jelly printed sketchbooks. I really enjoy that because it's like a paper pad where you can pick some papers, and there is a video up where I make some of them. I will try to find it and link it now in the info box so you can check that out if you want to. I searched for paper with that turquoisey color because I picked this image to be my focal point, and I also wanted to have something pink on it. And it's really nice that there is also something orange, and I'm just picking that piece of paper and I'm cutting that part out that I wanted to have, and I wanted to layer this onto my page together with that focal point. The focal image, the leaf, is from our collage leaf stamp set. I'm going to link it underneath, and it's embossed in black on a jelly print, I believe. Yeah, and here I'm just arranging and I see what I wanted to do, and I think I want to cut out a part of that paper, so it's not a full piece of paper. I thought about changing it, turning it around, but I really like that black as a contrast, and I want to cut something into that paper so the background shows through. And I'm thinking about what I could use that there for. I thought about using a leaf with a die, but I couldn't find one that is small enough. And I picked that flower, and I think about die cutting that flower into that paper. I also found a leaf, a little one, but I wasn't happy with that, and I thought it would be too small. And finally I decided to just go with a simple circle. I die cut a circle with my big shot, and I also picked that circle, and then I decided maybe I should die cut that leaf, and probably I could use it on the page as well. But I think that just doesn't work with the page, but I will keep that, and then I can use it for a mixed media tag, for example, in the future. I really like the circle shape and that the background is peeking through and that there is some of that white pattern. I plan to put my sentiment or a bigger title next to the collage area, a little bit shifted to the right. And therefore I'm going to add some stamping, a little cluster of black images to increase the contrast and to get the black from the paper so everything stays cohesive. I'm using a stamp from our Mix It Up 7 stamp set, and instead of stamping ink, I'm going to stamp today with acrylic paint. The reason is that it usually gives you a really a more heavier print. You get some paint down, and there is something. If you're using only stamping ink, you get just a thin layer of ink that usually is not pure black. And I wanted it to stand out, and that's why I'm using black paint. And I'm using a jelly plate as my stamp pad. That's the jelly plate from Craftelier, the small one. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I prefer the real jelly plate. It's just completely different. It's made out of a completely different material in my eyes. It has a different smell. It has a different feel. It just is not a jelly plate. I usually would recommend, if you get a jelly plate, get the original one. It's the best. But it's really nice to have the small one as a stamp pad. And I also use it sometimes to mix color or to use it with distress ink. That's also okay. Just the typical way I use my jelly plate is that's not possible with this one. I'm changing my stamp to a number stamp from our Mix It Up 6 stamp set. I just stamp a few different images and build kind of a cluster to go with that collage bit. Of course, it's important that you don't let the paint dry on your stamps, so I just throw them in water or clean them right away so the paint doesn't dry on them. If it happens that the paint dries on your stamp, you can clean it usually with alcohol. Rub it with a towel that is that has alcohol on it, and then you can clean it with water and soap. What you also could try, if you left it, you can just put it into water, let it soak for, let's say, an hour, and then go in with kind of a brush, a harder brush, and water, and try to clean it. That should work, but best is not to let paint dry on any kind of stamp. I'm also going to add some stenciling to that cluster with the leftover black paint. I picked a little bit too much, so there is quite a lot left over. And I'm using the same pattern, just in the mini version. That's one of our mini marks stencils. And I just cut it apart. It's a bigger stencil with 4 patterns, and I cut, no, 4 patterns? Yeah, it has 4 patterns. And I cut it into pieces because I really like to use it in the small version. And I'm using a sponge and some of that black paint to just add this pattern to the cluster. And I'm also mixing the leftover paint with some water, and I'm making some splatters in black as well. When I now look at the complete layout with the turquoisey image, I feel that there is missing something turquoise on the background to just make everything cohesive, and I think it's necessary to bring in some turquoise. So I'm going to add some of that turquoisey neo color later, because my stenciling is still wet and the black splatters. But what I can do now is add some turquoisey splatters as well to the spread. So we have also some turquoisey color accents here and there. Whilst this is drying, I'm going to prepare the letters for my title, and I'm going to stamp them to that piece of jelly paper that I've already picked and used for today's project. And I'm using our A to Z stamp set, and I'm just going to stamp the word enjoy. I wanted to spell enjoy your, something like enjoy your journey, because I stamped journey in black previously to that cluster, but I think I'm going to change that towards the end, but I can't remember what I've done. I'm just picking the letters I need. I put them on an acrylic block, and I put them a little bit apart because I wanted to cut out each letter as a rectangle or kind of a square, depending on the shape. And I'm stamping it with StazOn ink to that jelly print. I put something squishy underneath so I get a good impression, because stamping on a jelly print with StazOn is, or on acrylics with StazOn is always a bit difficult because it gets super sticky. I had the feeling that the circle is a bit too empty, and I had a butterfly stamped to the jelly print as well and cut out because I thought maybe I would glue it into that circle. I cut away its antennas and its body, and I thought I would stamp it to the background and then adhere it on that so the antennas are back. And I did that because I was afraid that the stamp impression wouldn't work in that journal on that paper with the acrylic paint. But it turned out really good, and I decided to leave it as it is and not use that butterfly that I had stamped onto the jelly print because I really liked how the pure black stamp looked on the background. So I left it like that was. It's one of our butterflies and moths stamps. And now I'm going to finish the page. And I searched for some bits of collage, and you can see I have forget to record, to press record, and I've already adhered a strip of jelly print to my circle paper. And these pink jelly prints, there is also a video, and I'm going to link it up for you in the info box. And that I was not sure at this stage if I should use that pink paper that I put at the bottom with that leaf image, and I just was not sure if I wanted it to have or if it was too much. Finally, I decided to use it, and I'm just adhering that to my circle paper as well because then it's much easier to arrange everything on the page. And I'm using my glue stick to adhere that bit. This is a jelly printed rice paper. It's quite a thin paper, but I couldn't find a thicker one. I think thicker papers would have worked also really nice because you get a really nice stack of papers. I found some other bits and pieces in my stash where I thought maybe I would add them to the page. There is a collage fodder piece that I made with our sketch leaves number 6 stencil in pink, and I thought about using that one, and I think I'm going to adhere a tiny bit of it to the bottom of this page because I really thought it's nice to have something tiny at the bottom, just something else apart from that cluster where is everything going on. So if you're looking at the page, you can find something different. And I'm adhering that with my glue stick as well. Whenever it's a thin type of paper, flat background, I would use my glue stick. And when it's a little bit more thick and layered, I would use a wet craft glue. I'm now going in with that near color I've showed you before. It's almost the same turquoise as the leaf. And I'm making a cluster with marks here just to bring that color to the background. And I think that is a really good decision. I had the feeling that right to the collage paper there is something missing, and here I'm using my Stabilo oil pencil. I dip the nib into water and I'm making just a few scribbly marks here. Now I'm going to adhere everything together, and I'm using some wet glue for that. I hadn't the patience to wait until my stabilo was dry, and that was a bit, yeah, that was not so good, I would say, because I'm messing up my rice paper a little bit because of the wetness. It's almost invisible later, but yeah, it annoyed me that I couldn't wait. Here it happens until everything, I messed it up, then I tried to fix it, and then I ruined the paper. That I didn't wait until everything was dry. Yeah, it's almost invisible, so it's not a real problem, but yeah, next time I just have to wait until everything is dry. I'm adhering my letters, and I'm starting with the one in the middle so I can line the others up. To finish the title, I'm using also some words from our Mix a Sentiment stamp set, and therefore I had stamped the stamps to some vintagey pattern paper, and then I cut out the words. That's what the stamp set is made for. Just stamp the 4 images completely and then cut out your words, the words you need. It's kind of as if you have a sticker set. Here's a picture of the finished page. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope we will see us next time. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Bye.